Hello and welcome back to another episode of Martina Flor's Open Studio. I'm your host, Martina Flor, and today I have a story to tell, a journey sort of to share, which is my year-long book writing saga. I mentioned the fact that I'm writing a book a few times on this podcast, and I did it for a reason, and that is because I want you to keep me accountable. I find very useful as a goal setting and goal achieving strategy to make other people accountable. And one way of doing that is to share that with you. And the fact that you know that I'm writing a book makes me feel that you are waiting for that book. And that also pushes me to actually finish that book, which is something I have done. And I'm going to share with you about, what are the next steps with the book in this episode. So I want to tell you about this story because I have been discussing goal setting and goal achieving throughout the last two episodes. And I think that this story may be really powerful or inspiring in terms of showing you how much dedication and commitment can make in relation to realizing a dream, right? Or realizing a goal, right? So let me first take you back to where it all began. So a year ago, and I believe I recorded an episode about this here, or at least I shared the fact that I was in Barcelona and I was writing this book. So a year ago, I sent all my subscribers an email about the decision that I had made of taking a sabbatical to go to Barcelona to write a book. So I live in Berlin, and I decided to relocate cities for 2 months to help me in this project that I had, which was writing a book that I had for a long time in my mind. And I thought that a great idea or a great way of doing that would be to just change the environment completely. And I decided to move to Barcelona to write a book. And, the time has flown by, and I'm really thrilled to share that the book is finally seeing the light soon. It's going to be published next year in the beginning of the year. So I will keep you posted about this. Now, this is not about bragging, but I want to really show you how dedication and grit, let's say, can help you accomplish your dreams too. And when I started this project in early 22, I said to myself, okay, I want to stop postponing this significant project that had been on my bucket list for far too long. So I wanted to write this book, and I want to say that I wrote 2 books before. I wrote The Golden Skills of Lettering, and I wrote The Big Leap, which you may think like, oh, you already wrote books, so that must make it easier for you to approach. But I would say that it's rather the opposite. Knowing how much goes into creating a book, and in my case, I not only wrote the books, but I also designed the books. And in my first book, I also illustrated the book, and I also used my handwriting to illustrate the book. So there's notes with my handwriting everywhere in the book. I know how much time-consuming creating a book may be. And this is why I was postponing this project for so long. Also, this book, I feel, is a very special one in terms of the kind of content that I'm sharing. And yes, and in early 2022, I said, stop it, basta. I want to really make this happen. And yes, and I said, okay, I'm going to take a sabbatical. I'm going to go to Barcelona. And of course, in order to take that sabbatical, there were a lot of challenges to overcome. First, I had to find accommodation in a new city. I had to arrange daycare for my 4 and 6-year-old kids who were coming with me. My husband couldn't come with me at that time because he had to stay here to work. And at the same time, I had to be able to manage my creative business, right? I run a business with employees and a team, and yes, and I wanted to continue doing that alongside this personal project, right? But I have to say that with determination and strategic planning, I really made it happen. And I found a place, I found daycare for my kids. I created a calendar that made it very effective for me to work on the book and to continue working on the business. Of course, I was working less on the business that I usually do, but I have to say that I was extremely effective. The less time I allocated to work on the business, the more I could get done, really. And I would say that the work that I was getting done in those few hours that I allocated to work on my business are comparable to some of the results that I get by working. Well, I currently work half time in my business, but still are comparable to the results that I get now, which I'm not cutting any hours of my workday, right? So what I did is that I allocated a specific time for the project, and I organized my calendar. And I remember at that time I shared my calendar on social media, mentioning, hey, this is these are the blocks of time that I allocate to work on my book. And yes, and I found a workspace for myself. And once I booked those flights, there was no turning back. The project was officially a go, right? And I love these moments where, yes, you can think about it, you can organize, you can plan, you can organize your calendar, you can find the place where you're gonna live and stuff. But there's certain actions that have a big impact in making the things happen. And in my case was like really booking those flights, because it meant like we are going there, right? So once I was there, it was easy, because it was a matter of sitting down and writing one word at a time, right? It was about like just doing what I had set out to do, and working, writing my way one word at a time, right? And the effort really paid off, because I successfully completed the first draft of my book there. And a few days ago, I completed the final version of the book, which is my new baby. And it's going to be published next year. I am going the self-published route this time. This is the first time that I'm going to do this. And of course, it makes me a little bit nervous, because this is totally new for me, and it would be a challenge for me and for my team to actually pull this off. And my two previous books, they were published in 6 different languages by publishers, right? So by traditional publishers. And this time I decided to go another route, and I trust that because of the platform that I have built throughout the years, the audience that I have, the listeners that I have in this podcast, the subscribers to my email list, that I can really make this happen. And I feel that I will have more control over the project, over the way it's gonna go out in the world, over the different experience that I'm gonna be able to provide to my readers, which I feel that with the other books, I wasn't much in control of that, although I love those projects and I love how they have changed the lives of a lot of creatives out there. But I feel that, how great could be to also be in charge of managing all of the aspects of the book, not only the design and the actual text that is written, but also the way it comes out in the world, the way it's launched, the experiences that are connected to that book. So I thought, I have a team now that is amazing, and we are very skilled at providing amazing experiences for our students and for our audience and for our subscribers. So I thought, let's do that as well with the book. And this is why we're publishing the book, or self-publishing the book. But all in all, and I don't want to go down the tangent here. This story of how I came to write a book and what are the things that I put in place to write a book. This experience really taught me again the remarkable change that can happen in just a few weeks when you're really clear about your goals and also equipped with the right tools and the frameworks and the systems to achieve them, right? When you have the plan, when you have the calendar, when you have allocated time, right? This experience just taught me how powerful that is. And now I really want to give you some actionable steps that you can do as well to achieve some of your goals, some of the goals that you may have right now. And I think this is a good way of wrapping up this series of episodes that have been in relation to goal setting. So I would say that the step number 1 is to have a clear goal. You know, at that time, I set myself the goal of writing a book, right? And I know it's a complicated goal, actually. Writing a book, it involves a lot of things, but it's just about that one thing. You know, make it name that one thing, right? And take the time, I would say in your case, take the time to define your aspiration, your goals, that project that you want to tackle, right? And be specific about what you want to achieve, right? So set clear goals. The step number 2 is create a plan. You know, you can create a plan, a calendar, a system, once the plan is in place, you just have to stick to it. Of course, sticking to it is not a piece of cake, but when you have a plan, you have 50% of the work done. Then you have to sit down and do the work, which as I said, is not as simple as it may sound, but it's just about doing the work, right? So create a plan, identify what are the things that you need to have in place to make it happen. And step number 3, take action. Once you have clear goals, once you have a plan, then you have to sit down to work. And I really wanted to simplify this in 3 steps, because if you think about it, it's so simple. And yes, it's work. Yes, it's investment, time, money. Yes, it is moving things around, leaving your comfort zone, right? But at the end of the day, it's just about saying, hey, I want to do this. Here's how I'm going to do it. And once that is in place, then you just do it. You know how simple that is? And I wanted to leave you after these 3 episodes speaking about goals. I wanted to leave you with this simple framework, which is, hey, get clear about your goals. What is it that you want to achieve? Then plan a little bit. Create a plan. How are you going to do it? And then just do it. Sit down and do the work, right? It is as simple and, of course, as complicated as that, right? But if you think about it, it just goes down to those 3 steps. So before we wrap up today's episode, I want to invite you again to our Black Friday party, which is we call it Extra Black Party. We are starting in November 13th, and my team and I have prepared a series of deals and bundles and trainings that are not available during the rest of the year. And this is a very exciting chance to join our trainings and also save, because you can get up to 30% off your registration in any of our trainings, which as I said before, many of them are not available in other moments of the year. So this is a great chance to join us. You can go to martinaflor.com/extra black to join the party and be the first one to know when these deals are live. So thank you so much for joining me today on So thank you so much for joining me today on this episode, I wanted to leave you with these very simple steps because we often procrastinate around, yes, I want to achieve that goal, but how am I going to do it? And then, do I have the money? Do I have the time? Do I have the place? Do I have the perfect tools? Do I have that perfect pencil with that perfect piece of paper, right? And it all goes down oftentimes to those 3 simple steps, which is get clear. What is it that you want to do? Number 2, plan, right? Think about how you're going to make it happen. And 3, just do it. Stop procrastinating. Just sit down and do the work. And you will see how fast or how far you go when you just follow those 3 steps and you sit down to work. So thank you so much for joining today's episode, and see you on the next episode of Martina Flor's Open Studio. Bye-bye. So this is it. I hope you loved this episode. You can find me, the host of the show, on social networks at Martina Flor on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. If you have a question or comments, go to martinaflor.com/podcast, where you can see previous episodes, find show notes, and send voice memos with your comments and questions. You can also watch these episodes on YouTube. Just go to martinaflor.com/YouTube to find them. You can, of course, listen to all our episodes on your favorite podcast platform. If you loved this episode, subscribe to this podcast. And if you leave us a review, it will help others find us. Thank you all for listening, and see you in the next episode of Martina Flor's Open Studio. Bye-bye.